Hello everybody and welcome to Hoods Up, a Catellus racing interview here at the Catellus compound itself, live in Finleyville, Pennsylvania. I'm Tyler Harris, the announcer at Pittsburgh's Pennsylvania Motor Speedway, and I am joined by the Catellus clan. All of them, basically everybody, for the exception of some of them, but we'll get into that a little bit more here. Join me now to my left is Gary Catellus,
Hello.
Cody Catellus, Jonathan Catellus, Logan Catellus, and the not-so-known Catellus yet, but he is coming very soon, and that is Blake Catellus. You'll see him live on the dirt track here, probably, about another year or two, right? We'll probably see you? Well, that sounds like a good plan. So, like I said, not all of them are here with us, but the wide majority of them are. So, I guess we'll get started with Gary. You are the quote-unquote patriarch, at least represented at this table. Your dad, Drew, was really the one who got this whole thing started.
Yeah, back in the 80s, my dad and my Uncle Joe raced PID, started drag racing. And then my pap, for whatever reason, said, let's buy a dirt car. And my Uncle Joe drove it first. And then my dad got in there. Then ever since, it's been chaos.
Chaos in a beautiful way, I would say, because it's established since 1980, right there on the table in front of us. So over 30, 40 years of Catellus racing now.
Yeah.
Chaos, but successful. First thing on your list was the successful endeavor that we just had at the David L. Lawrence Convention Center for the 62nd annual Max Motive War to Wheel show. It definitely was a successful event for Pittsburgh's Pennsylvania Motor Speedway. We had 23 cars on hand, and two of them are the cars that are joining us right behind us. You guys came out in full force, and we thank you very much for that, and especially your two cars were right up front and center. A lot of kids getting into race cars, a lot of adults getting into race cars, and you put a lot of smiles on a lot of people's faces. So what was that like for you all to be represented at a car show like that and really get your names and sponsors and cars in a pretty prominent spotlight?
Definitely a cool experience, bringing our cars down, representing our track, getting kids in the cars, it's definitely a cool experience. Because I know I was that kid. Definitely autograph night when my dad raced. I would always go up to drivers, and I was even shy to do that. So I knew what that feeling was for them.
What about you, John?
Yeah, it was nice for Pittsburgh to put on a show for us, because people asked, where do you race? And they never heard of it. So it was cool, to have even adults get in the car, like you said, and kids, and just yeah, it was great. Even sign autographs, you felt like a NASCAR driver.
In line was something we kind of already touched on, which was how did Catellus racing really get started? We kind of talked about that a little bit, how Drew, your father, your guys' grandfather got involved in PID at racing and drag strips and stuff like that. Is there anything else that we wanted to touch on?
Well, just Joey Catellus races. It's my cousin, my late brother Craig. But it all started, if you talk to Joey, you can talk about our marbles. We run them things down for hours. But that's what the kids did. We wasn't on our iPhones, and we had our little cars, but we raced marbles. So now look at us goofballs now running on these race cars.
Quite a difference. How much does a marble cost? Maybe 20 cents, 10 cents?
I'm sure it went up now.
Yeah, maybe 25 cents these days.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious, you guys are dealing with, 10, 20, 30, $40,000 race cars now. So yeah, that's quite a percentage upgrade. So.
Drew ran late models, crate lates, E-mods. So he's the one that really got us into this, and he drove last year, matter of fact, and he at 68 years old was a track record holder in the hobby stocks. He jumped in Logan's car for the first night and set quick time.
There's joyous moments in racing, and then there's things that aren't so great in racing, and unfortunately the next kind of topic is something that wasn't so great, especially that night for a lot of people involved, specifically you guys. That was a night where a freak accident happened. A Rush late model jumped over the infield barrier on the backstretch of Pittsburgh, and unfortunately got into a couple of your vehicles, but most importantly, it got into Logan. And I believe, I'm not too sure what happened. I was up in a press box up in the stands. I didn't even see what happened until after the fact, when there's probably about 40, 50, 100 people wrapped around what's going on over there. So I guess the best person to really talk to about it would be the person who was on the negative end of that, and that's Logan. So Logan, what What happened that night when DJ Nakutis' Rush Late model jumped the barrier and hit a couple things?
Well, I was getting ready to go out for hot laps. I realized I gotta go take a leak. So I go between the trucks and taking the leak, and my pants were up, so I had to be walking back, and I don't remember the hit at all. The first thing I remembered was James Barber, our crew guy, great to us, picked me up. I was knocked out. I don't even remember the hit. I actually left a big dent in Cody's truck. Big dent. And after that, it was just all dazed. I don't really remember anything. It felt like a dream, actually. First thing I remember was being in the ambulance. Actually knowing where I was at. And it was definitely a scary moment for everyone involved.
He goes to the ambulance, they take him away, his mom was there. Now what do? We supposed to race? We got 3 trucks, we were one totaled, and what would Logan want us to do, so we raced.
Yeah.
And it was a very emotional night. I won the heat race. I was a hot mess. And Melissa's like, get him out of that car, because I'm thinking about Logan and his health. So I win the heat. I come in, I'm in tears, and and then find out Logan's okay through phone calls and his mom. So it worked out, and it was a big night for Jonathan that night, So it kind of had its ups and downs,
For John, that was the most important night probably in your racing career. Talk about weird things, how things work out, but that was your first ever victory in racing.
What, 6th or 7th, something like that, and I don't know, I never drove like that. It took me about 3-4 laps to just get the second. And then, my dad was in front of me, he was, well ahead. And I says, I'm content with second. And then I realized, 3-4 laps to go, I'm catching him. Well, I got beside him on the backstretch and I ended up passing him, and he told me he thought that was Cody in the car. That was Cody's car. He's like, no, holy shit, that's John. So it was, it was a special night, and, I'm glad it happened, did it for Logan, so.
From tragedy comes triumph, especially for you, Logan. You had yourself one heck of a season. It really came down to the wire that last night of points between yourself and Frank McGill, 2 young, bright stars at Pittsburgh's Pennsylvania Motor Speedway. You're a 16-year-old driver at the time. I don't think you turned 17 yet, right?
17.
You are 17 now.
Last week.
Okay, all right. So 16 at the time. Frank, I believe, is 18. So 2 very young competitors in their own right, and you guys are battling it out for a points championship down to the wire. But by that time, you had already secured the Cheplak Packing Hobby Stock Mini Series Championship. So your rookie season in the hobby stocks, and you blew the doors off of a lot of people. Talk to me about your 2022 season.
Yeah, it was definitely amazing. I never thought, I'd get 5 wins or even compete. All I wanted to do was, have a shot to just run up front. My goal was to get a win. They said get a heat race. Heat race was the goal. I knew, I come from, race on iRacing a lot. I knew I had it in me to at least compete for, at least a win. Never would have thought I'd have 5 wins, win the Cheplak Championship, and then even win the track championship, that last corner. So just running second, being in contention was just a win for me. So
Jonathan, we kind of already highlighted the big thing of your race season was that win, unfortunately, on the night of everything happening like that. Overall, though, a consistent year for you, it seemed like. A little bit of a change. You jumped from behind the wheel of your 2K into Cody's 1K. Slap a 2K sticker on the side of it. You probably actually see it in the background right now on Dirt TV. What was your season like through your eyes?
Honestly, it was pretty good up until I think I lost the motor. But, I was consistent, finishing in the top 5, and I was at one point in second. But, actually, besides my first win, I think my favorite time of the season was the 3-watt.
Moving on to Cody's year, a very exciting year for you personally because you made the switch from the hobby stocks to the Penn Ohio Pro stocks, deciding to spread your wings a little bit and get a little bit a different look at things. a lot more power behind those things, a lot more competition on a wider scale through the region. You made your presence known at Lernerville, running very consistent, almost getting a win a couple of times, and ultimately, too, running at Pittsburgh and getting your first couple of wins underneath your belt there. So talk to me about your 2022 season.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I didn't start off too good, though. I think the first time we took that pro stock out for practice, I made a half lap and then the rear end broke. Well, dummy me kind of forgot to put gear oil in the car, so broke the gear, broke the drive shafts, and it's like, oh, here, this year's going to go great. So no, it went pretty good. It took me a while to get used to the car. I remember my first heat race win, and I think by far that was probably the most special win I've ever had. Definitely better than the hobby stock win. To win up at Lernerville it's like winning it probably at Eldora. I mean, you have the stiffest competition by far there, so that was pretty special. Me and my good buddy Todd Weldon, he helped me out a lot this year, so a lot of credit goes to him, to Greg Beach. I think I got 5 or 6 heat race wins at Lernerville. A lot of top threes. I finished second twice, led half the race once. I thought I was going to get it, but got edged out by Brandon Connor. And I ended up getting 2 wins at Pittsburgh with that car. One, which was on a night that Logan's accident was. So overall, it was a pretty good year, a lot better than I anticipated.
That, again, you kind of made mention to it already. His plans have changed. Cody, what are your plans for 2023?
Nah, we don't know yet. I ended up getting a new car this year. I'm going to run his pro stock behind us there. I'm ended up buying a late model. So all new to me. Very excited to run it. Not sure where we're going to run yet. We planned on to run some Friday nights at Dog Hollow. Unfortunately, they closed up. I'm sure it'll be Pittsburgh some, Lernerville when they have their specials, and try to move around. I don't think we're going to be committed to one track, so I'm excited for it. It's just like last year, it's a whole other learning curve. I'm just trying to get better every year, learn as much as I can, and do my best.
Jonathan, 2023 plans. I think we pretty much have a good idea, judged off of what we just saw at the car show, but what are you looking to do for 2023? Or let's even talk about what your goals are for 2023.
Well, mostly just like run the hobby stock. If he lets me, I'll try the pro stock if I could pull it out of the pits. But I'm going to try to at least get a top 5. So try to get some wins if Logan lets me. So, but mainly just the hobby stock.
Logan, we'll stick with you here. 2023 plans. I think we have a good idea, but what are you looking to grow for 2023?
Just be competitive again, win races. Definitely, I finished second in the track championship. That's my goal to, be in contention for that again. Try to win it. Race hard with John, race hard with all the competitors. Yeah, I'm looking forward to a fun year.
We have a new pro stock that I'll let Cody drive, because he says there's no way you can drive this car. This ain't like when you used to drive back in the early 2000s. So I'll let him be the guinea pig on the new car, the new engine, and get it set. And eventually I'm going to get in that car. Logan and Jonathan probably also. We'll take a tour and show you all the toys.
Yeah, let's take a tour. So a lot of people at home have already gotten to see what's behind us here, which are the 2 cars that were on display at the World of Wheels show at the David L. Lawrence Convention Center. So a lot of them have seen those already, but we've got a few more toys stuck back behind here. Cody Catellus' 1K Penn Ohio Championship Pro Stock. So Cody, talk to us about this car. It is for sale. What's the price? What are we looking for? And what all comes with that car?
So it's a race-ready car. It's 20,000 race-ready, 2016 slider chassis with all the Greg Beach updates. The goal wasn't to run either of these cars this year, or the goal wasn't to sell this car this year before I decided to have the late model, but
So the next one in line, we kind of talked about a little bit or showed a little bit here. It's the 65K. It was supposed to be the backup car, but it ended up being a full-time season ride for Gary Catellus, 65K car. There you see it on the hood, Top Care Lawn Care LLC. That is Cody Catellus' business. So, Gary, I'll sneak back behind you over here. Talk to me about the 65K. You're talking about a part-time ride this year for this car?
Yeah, we're just going to keep everything the same. I left the dirt on it from last year. You know, we'll go over the shocks and springs on it, go over the valves and the motor, but we're gonna play with that one. We're not going to be serious and just, you know, let the boys have fun.
Here is the new Pro Stock, the one that I think you were talking about having as a backup. That was going to be a backup, but since your new endeavor came along, here's this new Pro Stock. Tell me about this beast.
Yeah, I just happened to be looking on Facebook one day, and this thing popped up. It was such a good deal for it. You know, it was a roller, come with a ton of parts, and it was like, well, let's buy it for a backup. You know, that's when we plan on racing Lernerville full time next year to run for a track championship. You know, that was before I made the decision to sell that one. I don't own this car. I own that one over there. This one's my dad's. So that's why we're selling that one over there. But yeah, it's a really good piece. Greg did his tuning to it, and it looks fast. So, you know, the green kind of grew on me. I wasn't a fan of green at first, but when you got a green cage, you kind of got to do some green vinyl on it. So it looks good. Animal Graphics and Jim Bloom, his boy, they did a great job on it.
The most prevalent, biggest races on the entire Rush Touring Series schedule. And the reason why I bring that up is because your new endeavor with this Rush late model behind us that currently has nothing on it, you know, we're looking to see what you've got for that. You know, do you think that you're going to be ready come August for the Jook George race?
For sure, yeah. I'm really looking forward to running that race. A lot of really stiff competition there. Brandon does a hell of a job putting that together. But yeah, well, hopefully we'll have that car ready within the next month or so. We're getting a wrap on, still working out some deals with some sponsors and stuff. So it should be ready to go for opening night.
Two more cars to highlight. As we kind of already mentioned, we talked about them about the World of Wheels show that they were here. Jonathan, we'll start with you. Best in class 2023 for the Hobby Stocks. Beautiful looking race car. We kind of already hinted on what this car's about, but talk to us a little bit more about this 2K.
Well, Jim Bloom kind of come up with the design. You know, at first I wasn't a fan of the barbed wire, but, you know, it grew on me, and it's kind of like the keep away, you know, Logan. But, no, I'm happy that Cody, my dad, put me in this car. So it's a really good car. You know, it's got a lot of wins on it, so I definitely have to, you know, keep trying to live up to the name of it. So, yeah, I'm happy for the design and ready for the season to start. So.
Second best in show, the 64 car. Last year, you can kind of see the door up on the wall there. That was a throwback paint scheme to your grandfather's car. And this year, you're going back to black, still incorporating those black and gold, though. You've got to be happy about how this car really turned out this year.
Yeah, I really like it. You know, Jim Bloom did a great job. You know, he did exactly what I wanted, even better with the look. Definitely got to talk about the throwback car. My pap drove it in the 90s. Very much success in it. My Uncle Dave always talked about we got to resurrect the yellow 64. And I did that, and it turned out to be great for our family to have that car back on the track, you know, get wins with it, be very competitive and where up front where it was, you know, when he drove it. My pap always drove 64. I started out as 5 when I started in the Young Guns, but knew someone had to take up the 64. My pap, you know, used it. My Uncle Craig, you know, we miss him. We made race in memory of him, drove the 64, so definitely, you know, have high standards when I drive that 64 around.
So you mentioned the 5. What was the prevalence of the 5, the number 5?
I always had 5 in baseball, always been my number in baseball, so just use it for the race car. But, you know, 64 has always been our racing number for our family, so I knew I had to switch to that.
65, is that just one better than 64? Was that your take on that?
Yeah, back when I ran in the 1999, I was Rookie of the Year to Limited Late Models. Back with Al Tala, Tony Mussolino. I beat him out for Rookie of the Year. I was just consistent. Top 7th was my best, but I ran 65 to follow my dad.
And then we've got 2 other numbers to mention, the 1K and the 2K. So let's start with the 1K, I guess. We'll start number 1. Where did the 1K come from? What was the idea behind that?
Honestly, I don't know. I started out racing go-karts. I was number 65. That was always my favorite number. My dad actually drove an amateur stock, it was called at the time, and a cadet. They called them cadet sportsmen, the pro stocks. So he drove that number, and I don't know, it just caught on to me and grew on me. So that's the number I wanted to be, kind of followed by him. So that was pretty cool, and I think John followed me with the 2K.
Yeah, what was the idea? Just to be close to your brother, or what was the idea behind the 2K?
Well, actually, when we did go-karts, he was 65, I was 66.
Okay.
So then when he went to the 1K, I was like, well, I'll just 2K. It's just, I don't know. Smaller numbers are better, I guess. So.
Well, you're going to be coming up through here soon, Blake. What do you think? 3K, or are you going to go off on your own venture?
I'm going to be 6K.
6K. Why 6?
Well, I was the sixth person in my family, my dad, my mom, and then 3 brothers, and then me. So I was 6. And 6 was always my number in baseball. So.
On behalf of all of the Catelluses here in their race shop, we really appreciate you all tuning in on Dirt.tv.